Judging from our mild weather this weekend, you might not imagine that across the globe a history-making storm has claimed thousands of lives. Super Typhoon Haiyan has ravaged the Philippines and parts of Vietnam. Fox 10 News reporter Michael Brandon joins us live in the studio with details on relief efforts. Michael?
Many experts are already calling it the worst storm in recorded history. 10,000 or more have perished from this horrific storm. Living on the Gulf Coast, we're used to seeing hurricanes. However, for less developed, less prepared populations, a storm like this can be devastating.
8 years ago, the Gulf Coast witnessed the worst damage by any natural disaster in history. This weekend, Southeast Asia experienced even worse. While weather is just fine here on the Gulf Coast, across the world, hundreds of thousands are displaced without power and water. Thousands are unaccounted for, and families are praying their loved ones will be found alive. Pastor Q Min Yong of St. Monica's Catholic Church on DIP says his parishioners, mostly Philippine and Vietnamese immigrants, are concerned about loved ones back home.
All the news that we found, nothing good to do. What can we do to help for now? It's kind of collectively we have to think about the ways and means of how we can help. Right now they need food, water, and shelter and everything else.
Director of International Communications, Jana Sweeney with the American Red Cross, says efforts are underway to help those in need from both the Philippines and from the States, including the deployment of disaster assessment teams.
Since the storm passed, the Philippine Red Cross has been working in search and rescue efforts and relief and recovery efforts. They have volunteers in the field providing food and relief supplies. Anytime we see a disaster, either domestically within the U.S. or internationally, and people immediately reach out to help. Americans are incredibly generous, and they pick up the phone and they call their local Red Cross chapter and start trying to find ways to assist.
Now, if you would like to help support victims of Typhoon Haiyan, visit our website, fox10tv.com. Now I want to bring in meteorologist Matt Barentine. Matt, we've heard many talk about the size of this storm, but in relation to the United States, how big is it really?
It really was a massive storm, Michael, and the comparisons here are pretty intense because here is the size of Katrina. The wind field, the tropical storm winds around it stretched 230 miles out from the center, making the storm over 400 miles wide, would stretch from about Tallahassee to about Baton Rouge if it was centered up on our area. Now let's take a look at Sandy from last year. Remember this storm for sure, and this one had winds that stretched out 485 miles from the center, making it almost 1,000 miles wide. Would have gone from about Houston to about Florida. But check out Haiyan, 560 miles, more than 1,100 miles across with the wind field of destruction that passed through the Philippines. And you can see that would cover up pretty much the entire Gulf Coast. Just unbelievable to imagine. They have been dealing with a lot.